The stage is set. The conference championships are here. Now this offseason has been filled with many surprises, but I won't give that away. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night, where we recap what has happened last weekend and argue which championship was better. My name is Cora Rodriguez, and I'm alongside Jeremy Rose and Jacob Gold. So let's just start off right away. What do you guys think about the NFC games first?
Well, up first, we have the Eagles and the Rams, and it was a snow globe in Philadelphia. Just perfect conditions, at least for me. But I know other players, such as Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, they didn't really like the snow. They couldn't plant. They couldn't do any of these other football moves. But someone who does is former Nittany Lion, Saquon Barkley. He exploded. 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just an absolutely amazing performance. Again, remember he did that earlier in the season against the Rams as well. Moving on, Jared Verse. He was talking a lot of smack to Eagles fans. They even put it on the scoreboard at the game. It was pretty incredible to see how the Eagles fans responded to that, but also how he responded. He had 2 sacks of his own, and he played pretty well. But when you look at that side of the game, you also have to look at the Eagles and their defense. Their run defense and Jalen Carter combined for 10 tackles for loss. An incredible game by the Eagles defense. And another key to the game, Eagles turnover free on the offense, something that they struggled with early on in the season. Now, another factor was the snow. And Matthew Stafford playing in the snow notably does not have the best record, 1-8. But it does help that he does have, the top wide receivers on his side, Puka Nacua being one of them. He had an incredible catch, cinematic almost. He caught the ball against his helmet, 2 feet in the snow. It was beautiful. Got them in the red zone. Very reminiscent of that Falcons game in 2017 when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. I will put that out there. And I will end with, that was the first game that the Eagles have won with that officiating crew. That officiating crew was the same crew that threw out C.J. Gardner-Johnson in Washington.
I have a weird sense that you're potentially an Eagles fan.
No, I don't know how
seems
you
a
could get that.
little salty with that one. Yeah, definitely on the prospect of that game. Eagles playing a great game. I think if the snow hits a little bit later in the game, or if the Rams have the lead when the snow hits, we get a little bit of a different outcome. Matthew Stafford's arm came alive towards the end of that game, led that drive down the field, just made a mistake on the 3rd down prior to that 4th down play where he overthrew Puka Nacua. A couple missed play calls here and there. Saquon Barkley, of course, absolutely dominant on the ground. I think he had about 160 yards before even any contact, which is something that goes. It's a testament to the entire offensive line alongside Saquon Barkley, alongside the wide receivers and tight ends who block for him. Just a great all-around game for the Eagles, who will now jump in to face the Washington Commanders for a 3rd matchup this season. But before we jump into that 3rd matchup and talk about our predictions for that one, we're going to first talk about the Commanders game against the Lions. They went into Ford Field, a game that I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to win. Jaden Daniels put on an absolute show. Cliff Kingsbury called up a great game. You could talk about the Lions' defensive injuries all you want, but their 3 stars, Brian Branch, Alex Anzalone, and Kirby Joseph, 3 guys who've been starting all year long, did not play the way that they should have. Their defensive coverage was a little messed up. There was that screenplay to Terry McLaurin that broke off for a 60-yard touchdown where they only had 2 defenders shading over on that side. You can't do that against a 3-stack and on what should be a screen pass. Missed calls here, missed calls there. The offensive play, they should have ran the ball more. Jahmyr Gibbs was phenomenal on the ground. He had 14 carries, I believe, for over 150 yards. But they got behind, and instead of going with what was working and what's been working for them all season, that run first with Montgomery and with Gibbs, they tried to air it out too much. Jared Goff threw a couple of costly interceptions, including that pick 6. Jameson Williams, of course, throwing the interception towards the end of at the end of the game. You put your season in the hands of your wide receiver at a quarterback position, and that's kind of what happens. Don't necessarily blame Ben Johnson for that call at all. That's on Jameson Williams to throw that ball away. You've got to talk to him during that play, talk to him pre-play, remind him they practiced that play multiple times clearly, and he, made the wrong choice there, gave up the rest of their season. But we now will turn towards, this NFC Championship matchup. Jaden Daniels coming off of probably one of the best games of his young career, made reads when he needed to, scrambled on the ground when he needed to. They played complementary offense, and their defense wasn't phenomenal. They gave up 31 points to a Lions team who does score a lot. They've got to stop the run, and they're going to have to do a whole lot of that if they want to stop Saquon Barkley.
Honestly, I agree with both of your sides on both of the games. I think snowy games are just the best. I just love snowy
They're
games.
beautiful.
And
Gorgeous.
I was really surprised that the Commanders really upset number 1 Detroit Lions. I thought at the beginning of the season the Lions were going to go super far, but they did lose to the Commanders, as you can see. But now let's go over to the AFC. Now let's start with the Bills and Ravens game.
This game was incredible. Star-studded from top to bottom. 2 MVP candidates going head to head. It was incredible. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. It was America's gift. It was everything we could have ever wanted. Mother Nature was a factor, though. She brought the cold and she brought the wind. It was just an icy heaven in Buffalo. But in Buffalo, at the same time, we got to talk about the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense did not play well early in the season, giving up upwards of like 20 points and higher early on in the season, losing a few crucial games to lose that first seed to the Chiefs. But they've rebounded. They've rebounded and they played really well. They forced 3 turnovers and they played a very clean game, not a lot of penalties taken. And ultimately, I think that led to a victory. And on the other side, the Ravens, miscues. Turnovers, Mark Andrews. It is what it is. It's football. It happens. But what that teaches me and what I take away from that is that the Buffalo Bills actually can win these ugly games. They can go without Josh Allen having his A game. You know, he only threw for 127 yards. That's not the Josh Allen we see on a regular basis.
Yeah. And, you talk about, that game, talk about an ugly game on that front. Switch it over to this Chiefs and this Texans game, which was what I'd say even uglier. Patrick Mahomes has an atrocious stat line, makes a couple good plays down the stretch. If you look at that game, they get outpossessed, they get outconverted on third down, they get outgained, but the Chiefs still find a way to win. What does that come down to? Comes down to their defense. 8 sacks of CJ Stroud. Some are more on CJ Stroud than they are, a positive for the defense. It's more Stroud not throwing the ball away when he shouldn't, missing reads here, missing reads there. But complimentary football wins Super Bowls. The Chiefs have 2 of those in a row, going for a third. They're a game away from a third Super Bowl appearance in a row. We'll get to that game in just a moment. But when it comes down to this game, they converted when they needed to. They made the plays they needed to make when they had to make them. And that translates to wins when you have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback who's going to, this Chiefs team is not going to drive down the field 75 yards 4 different times throughout the game and put up 28 points like that. Right. They haven't scored more than 30 points all season. They've scored 30, but they have not scored more than 30 points all season. It's been a talking point all season long. They can't score big, but their defense does what the defense needs to do. They force turnovers, and they just they get their offense the ball in good spots. They're like around the field, and it's going to translate to victories. It's translated to, what are we at, 15 now throughout the season? Now 16, I guess, with this win over the Texans. Yeah. And they've got, 2 more to go to finish off the season with another Super Bowl and make it 3 in a row.
Now that we've talked about the 4 games, now we're going into the championships. I think this is what everyone's expecting here. The AFC, it's going to be the Chiefs and
Chiefs and the Bills.
Chiefs and the Bills. Thank you for reminding me. And then the NFC is the Eagles and the Commanders. So what are you guys' arguments on which one is the better one?
Boy, starting off,
I want to preface this. You're not biased, right?
No, absolutely not.
Perfect.
Absolutely not. I promise. Sort of. Jalen Hurts being 4-0 in the playoffs. This is why I think the NFC Championship is going to be the best game to watch. I mean, 2 teams coming into this, both red hot. I mean, Jalen Hurts, again, 4-0 at home in the playoffs. Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders have not lost on the road yet. So very exciting to see, right? Jaden Daniels could also be the first rookie starting quarterback to make a Super Bowl. That would be incredible to see. Like, not biased.
Not
right?
biased.
So I think these games are going to come down to how the Eagles can run the ball. Washington doesn't have a great statistically a good defense for the run.
Right.
But the Eagles at the same time need to get their passing game going as well. I mean, it's just going to be a great game. I think it's going to be very close. Like the last two times they've played. Last time they played, Jalen Hurts went down. Let's see if he has more passion almost going into this game. You know, kind of playing against a team that took him down. But at the same time, the Eagles are missing players. Nakobe Dean, that's huge. He's the brains of that defense. He really knows how to run a defense. He's athletic, and he's really the heart. And that was ripped out, and I would love to see how the Eagles come back from that.
Yeah, mind you, they're also playing with a injured Jalen Hurts. You saw him standing like a statue, and out of the 7 sacks, I think it is, that he ended up taking
That was brutal.
In their matchup.
Hard to get footing in the snow.
Yeah, so Hurts didn't play his best game last week. You got a great game out of Jaden Daniels last weekend, and now we're going to flip over to the AFC, where both quarterbacks had pretty poor outings in their championship games, but this is the fourth rendition of this AFC championship matchup between these two, or AFC, I guess, divisional and championship round matchup between these two teams who have been going at it now. This is their third meeting in the last, or their fourth meeting in the last 5 seasons. Of course, the Chiefs are 3-0 in all of those meetings. A football rule has been created off of the basis of this game. This is going to be an iconic game. I think this might be the year that Josh Allen finally gets his team over the hump. The Chiefs have, whatever black magic you want to call it, running for them. They've got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at quarterback. Steve Spagnuolo's coordinated a phenomenal defense all season long for the past 3 seasons. He's done nothing but, bring perfection to that defense, and has held up as Mahomes and the offense have kind of slowed down, lost their footing over the past year and a half. And then you've got the surging Buffalo Bills. They come surging into the playoffs every single season off the top of, this is, I think, now their 5th straight AFC East title. Not much to be proud of. It's a terrible division, coming from a Jets fan. This is but Allen and the Bills come in strong to the playoffs every year, and they always halter and stop at the Chiefs. I think this is the year they finally get over that hump. A high-powered offense, a great defense. They've got pass rushers. They've got pass rushers who have been there before. You've got Von Miller working out back there. All they've got to do is keep themselves in good opportunities on offense, and Josh Allen needs to not get sacked and not let the defense keep him behind the sticks, keep him out of rhythm. And I think this is going to be a phenomenal game. I think they're both going to be phenomenal games, but I think this AFC Championship, this 5th round, is going to be the one. And this 4th round is going to be the one.
Honestly, that was a pretty good argument. That was pretty good. And honestly, I agree with you, Jeremy. I mean, just having the Chiefs and the Bills, I believe this Bills team, honestly. I think
might be the one.
It might be the one. It might be the one. But I feel like I always say that with any sport.
Said it in the 90s, too, and then they lost 4 straight Super Bowls.
Yes. But that's my personal opinion. I think the AFC is going to be a little bit better than the NFC, coming from an Eagles fan. But I feel like this question still remains, who is the better matchup? After hearing those arguments, I am still unsure who is the better one. So comment down below who you think. But the championships are on Monday, so those games will decide who will go to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. But for now, that's all for Penn State Sports Night. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our YouTube. For Jacob Gold and Jeremy Rose, I'm Cora Rodriguez, signing out.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this and so much more, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. For everyone here at Penn State Sports Night,
We are
Penn State Sports Night.